Hey, Mike and Kim, 140 square foot journey. We're trying to be better about sharing stuff that we learned, and in this last week, it was really an eye-opening time about space. We were at a very beautiful spot near Long Beach and Long Beach, Washington. Yep, different, not California. At a farm, essentially, and when we first got there, it was very busy, lots of campers. It's a thing called Harvest Hosts, and all the kind of nice spots were taken.
This big bay, so like you could look out and see this beautiful bay.
Willapa Bay, I think, is famous for clams, I guess.
Oysters.
We're learning clams. There was a lot of both. It's dramatic, the difference between high tide and low tide. We can post a couple of pictures in the comments afterwards, but in the space of literally 50 feet, it was an entirely different experience for us. The first one, we pulled in, and like I said, there was the campers, and the good spots along the bay were all taken. And so we kind of were over to the side in essentially what was a parking lot. I mean, a gravel area where there were parking spots that we were kind of in, and our deck was facing a building. And it felt like we were
in a driveway.
No privacy.
Yeah.
You're just kind of, and it just felt, and it was a rough day on top of that, just with a couple of other things and work and stuff like that. And it
was like a really busy kind of country road, and not like a highway, but busy enough and no shoulders where you couldn't just like go for a long walk. We were kind of stuck in this farm unless we unhooked and drove somewhere.
And we were going to move the next day to one of the spots on the bay. Mm-hmm. And so we decided not to unhook, which was probably a bad choice, because after work and we were done with things, we were like stuck. There was just nothing we could do. We kind of walked around the farm and it just was yuck. And then the next morning we got up, did a little bit of work, and then we're able to seriously back the trailer about 50 feet and pointed it out towards the bay, and we had some grass area next to us where our dog Copa could be.
Privacy along the side.
Yeah, and the deck was facing something amazing. Right now, we're at a really cool spot, and I don't know if you can quite see it or not, but that's Mount St. Helens right out the back, and it's peaceful. It's beautiful. So, Kim, you've talked about the psychology of space. So, what do you think about all that?
People always ask us, like, how do you decide where to go? And, it's all about the travel and the experience and all that. But I think it probably took, the learning curve for us of the first, 5 or 6 months to recognize where we felt just at peace, and what does that require? The Mav's law of hierarchy of needs, where one of your most fundamental needs is safety and place to live, shelter, right? So it's that psychology of shelter. And so when we were in places where I could just feel it in my nervous system, almost like this, I don't feel at peace here. And we learned to kind of make a list of requirements. Like, if we're somewhere and we can't, get out onto the street and go for a bike ride or a walk or a run, that feels confining. We're living in 130 square feet, and so we've got to have access to getting out and being outside. Things like exposure. So I'm kind of, I like privacy, and I don't want to just be sitting out, working at a table and there's cars and people walking by and just feel like you're kind of in the way of everything. I want to feel like I have my little spot. Being in really crowded campgrounds or RV parks, those types of places really put me on edge. And it took a while to recognize, this is what's happening and this is what we need. And, maybe Mike's needs are a little bit different than my needs, and how we come together on that and then decide where we're going to be. So it's been a really, really powerful lesson in recognizing, just those primal needs that we don't think about a whole lot when we're in a house. But now I think about it a lot, and I have a perspective for other people who are maybe unhoused or feeling like their home is not a relaxing, place to unwind and be. It's really important. It's really significant. And so our next season of traveling, we are going to be, prioritizing that and doing a little bit more research about where we end up and what that's going to be like when we're there. So that's kind of for me, what I've recognized. How about you?
Yeah, same. And I think, early on in the South, it's like we didn't realize that these backcountry roads, you're going 55 down them, and there's no sidewalks, there's no shoulders, and you can't. You're
Dogs that want to eat you.
You're not going to take the dog for a walk. So it was just learning experiences, and so we'll share more about some of those different learning things along the way in other videos. But hope that this one inspires a little bit of thought, at least for you. What do you need to feel at home in your space? I know for us that's been really eye-opening, and a journey that we didn't realize would happen as we went through this. So best of luck, safe journeys.
Bye-bye.